Hey guys, welcome to Stitch With Me. This is my second video, and yeah, it is my first video of the year because today is Friday, January 5th, 2018. So happy New Year. I decided I'm going to do Jessie Marie's end of year review tag, which he posted in December of 2016. I actually never did it last year. So I am going to do it this year. Basically, she asked around, I think on YouTube and Facebook, and kind of compiled questions from various stitchers and made this really awesome long tag. While I do that, I'm going to be working on Stitchrovia Quotes to Live By, the Mind Sal, which was released last year. The first part was released in January 2017, and the last part was released in September 2017. So this is the quote I'm working on. Sorry about that bump. This is actually release 9, so this is the last release. And this is the mock-up, Only Do What Your Heart Tells You by Diana, Princess of Wales, or it was said by. And the reason I decided to go ahead and do that is just because it's up at the top here, which if you recall from my last video, I talked about how I was expecting this to be release 7, because we got release 6 as the quote that like mirrors it on the other side of this middle quote. And it ended up going counterclockwise, and this was released last. So it was one of the reasons that I decided to go ahead and... What was I saying? One of the reasons I decided to just go ahead and wait till it was all done, and that way I could pick my colors, because I am doing color conversion and I'm using the DMC colorist for all the main word of the quote. So like in this case it would be the heart, and for that I'm gonna do DMC 4502, which is from their colorist line, and the colors around it are, oops, I just realized I've got a couple more here. Usually I just pull a length before the color repeats, and I'll put the similar color. So it's going to be 3804 for the dark pink, 3806 for the lighter pink, 3841 for the blue, and 3819 for the green. I also decided that I'm going to use slightly bolder versions of the green and blue. So these are them right here. This is from the no longer newest bunch of colors, since they just released a few colors. This is from that box that it wasn't open stock, so kind of sucks because they never did do that. I wish they just would. But you have to buy this in a separate box, which they do sell, but it's just annoying, you know? So it's a slightly darker green and a slightly darker blue, and I think I'm going to use that for some of the back stitching. You see how there's all this like wavy back stitching? So I'm going to decide, some of it is going to be blue and some is green. I think what I decided is the you and the only are going to be in the blue, and then the your and the tells is going to be in the green, I think. A lot of times I have an idea, and then after I do the main word it kind of switches up a little bit, but for now I'm doing this in the lighter and the dark pink, and using the lighter blue for the shadow, and I think I'm just gonna wait and go from there. So we'll see what happens. I probably will only be working on the do what during this video, but yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and I'll answer the questions of the tag. I'll leave my pinks that I'm using a little bit closer, and we'll see how it goes. So hopefully this won't be too wobbly here. There we go, that should help. So yeah, hey guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the tag now. I actually recorded this once, but the angle was way off. I must have shifted the camera, so I apologize if this isn't the best angle. It's hard to replicate the angle I had last time, which seemed to work, only because I was stitching on a different side of this frame, so I think that was part of it. So obviously you've seen a big jump from where I was to where I am now. I have a lot more done that I magically did. I did not magically do that. I just so happened to, here, let me see if I can. I just so happened to have to reshoot some of this. So I'm going to go ahead and start. I've only did a few questions, so it's not that big of a deal. So the questions came from the first section of the tag. And the first section of the tag asked about your favorites and least favorites. Now I'm going to give you a heads up that for least favorites, I don't have a lot of it. I hope you don't mind that. I thought about it and I still can't think of stuff. So I might just say for some of them I don't have a least favorite. So yeah. Alright, the first one is whip. My favorite whip is, that's an easy one. It's my Mermaid of Atlantis by Mirabilia. And I'm going to go ahead and try and show you pictures when I can, so I don't have to constantly keep inserting. So that's what she looks like finished. And I got significantly far on her. Let me see if I have a picture of her on my phone of where I got. I know, I have it on my Instagram, so I'll pull that up real quickly. Here, I guess I'll have to show you two pictures. So I got significantly far on her tail. This is from Mania, so it was kind of like where I ended her and where I started with my next one. But I also had some more of her skin done, so I wanted to show you a picture of that as well. I was really happy with this. Look at that. Oh, she's so beautiful. I love it. Alright, so that was my favorite whip. My least favorite whip, I have to say that's one of the ones I do not have. Mainly because I didn't stitch a lot last year. And because I didn't stitch a lot last year, I only stitched on things that I really, really enjoyed. I guess sometimes when I have a lot more stuff, there was something that I could have been like, you know, that was okay. That wasn't that great. Did I really just do that? I really just did that, and there was no need to. So I'm going to have to unpick all of that I just did. See, this is what I get for doing a stitch with me and not even thinking. I just started stitching the H again. The top of the H anyway. So I'm going to have to unpick that. Alright. So I do have a favorite. I showed you that. I don't have a least favorite whip because I stitched on things that I liked. Finish. My favorite finish is kind of a group, and it's the Mill Hill Sugar Skulls. I actually finished the green and the yellow this year, but altogether they're all done. So that's what they look like, and the ones I finished this year was this yellow one down here and this green one up here, and this is just a combination that I did. Yep. My least favorite finish is also my least favorite FFO. So for my favorite FFO, I'm actually going to go ahead and show you. Sorry, I just shook that, and I know this is an all stitch with me, but this part is easier instead of inserting pictures. This is called Teaching is a Work of Heart. This is really zoomed in, so I'll have to kind of play with it. I got these frame at Hobby Lobby, and I added the buttons myself. I added 2 on this corner, and then 2 on the bottom corner. So I'm really happy with how that came out. I also replaced stitching the apple with a button. So I know not the best angle, but you get the idea. I just think it came out so cute, and I need to do a couple more of those. 3 actually for the other ladies of my team. My least favorite, and really it was just because of the way it came out, is these mini ornaments from Needle Magic Inc. I like how they look, but see that snowman there? And how the bottom, how the bottom is all messed up. I cut that. I didn't think about it. I rushed it. and you can see they're very small. I put a quarter for a reference in that picture. It just doesn't look as nice as I wanted it to. The Let It Snow came out good. I measured that before I cut it. That one I cut before I measured, and it just was a mistake. So it's a cute finish, but the FFOing of it did not come out so good. Favorite new start. This. I like this a lot. This is Quotes to Live by Stitch Rovia. I have shown this. I mean, I guess I can try and pull up. This is the most recent quote I finished. But before that, I had finished 4 of the other quotes, so I guess I can show you real quick my full piece. I know this isn't the best, but you get the idea, you guys. So obviously, I have that quote now done, and I'm working on this one. And then I'll just have these 2. I really like this. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying swapping colors out and just trying new things. Each quote is based off of a different variegated that came from the DMC Coloris line. It just so happened I got those DMC Coloris a little bit before starting this pattern, and I thought it'd be the perfect pattern to use it for. Otherwise, in the original design, it uses the same colors for the whole thing, and they're just used slightly differently. But I like the idea of these kind of working together, but also looking like they're their standalone quote. And I realize my hand is in the way for a lot of this. I apologize. See, if I don't do two-handed stitching, my hand's going to be in the way. Then I'd have to keep switching angles. So I apologize if that bugs you. I'm just having some fun here. I hope you don't mind. Sometimes my hand gets tired with two-handed stitching. But if I do it, my hand won't be in the way too much. Anyway, yeah, so this is my favorite new start. I'm excited for it to be a finish. Hopefully sometime soon. Because these stitch up rather quickly. Some of them have a lot of detail that makes it get quite a bit tedious, but for the most part each quote stitches up pretty quickly. I was able to keep up with it for the time that I was stitching. I didn't keep up with it again as a combination of not stitching a whole lot because I wasn't feeling it, and waiting for this quote to be released because of the way I wanted to do the colors. It got to a point where like there was too many colors going on, so I'm like, I don't want to just pick it and then something else comes out, and I realized something else would have worked better. So after the last 4 came out, I kind of picked the colors for each one. Alright, least favorite new start. Again, I don't really have one. Anything that I started, since I started so very little, was a piece I enjoyed. Tulle, my Omanic frames, hands down. This particular piece isn't on an Omanic frame, but I do have other pieces I'm using it for, and I really, really like it. I'm just so happy with the customer service. I'm so happy with the product. I'm very glad that I got those frames because they're absolutely worth it, and I'm looking into getting more of the sizes for the top and bottom bars. I kind of regret not getting one size that hopefully I will be able to get. Alright, least favorite tool. I know, this is going to come as a shocker, but the tacky bob. Now, before you get your panties in a twist over there, the tacky bob, the idea itself is awesome. I like how it holds the beads. That's really not my issue. Ooh, it's one thread too low. My issue is with the residue. Like, it leaves residue on the beads, and you don't notice it too much when you're stitching the individual beads onto a project. But when you have leftover beads and you're trying to shake them into whatever container you choose to save your beads in, it's a problem. It's a problem. It's so annoying because there's so much residue from the tacky bob and the stickiness that keeps them on the tacky bob, they like clump together. So I'm like, the next time I go to use the beads for another project, I'm getting them out of my little plastic container, and I just have this clump of beads, and I don't like it. So I don't really use it anymore. I have something else I use. I might use it, talk about it in a different video. But yeah, I was disappointed, even though the idea is good and the initial use is good. When you go to take them off and save the beads, it's not cool. So that alone is enough for me to count it as my least favorite, because I usually don't use all the beads, especially if you get a packet of beads, like for a memorabilia, or I don't know, some project you bought a pattern that calls for beads, not like a Mill Hill. Not like a Mill Hill that has almost the exact same amount of beads, and like you're not gonna save 3 beads. Or no, maybe you do. I tend to save everything. Usually even for Mill Hills, but usually if I'm saving them, there's a lot left over. So I don't know. Technique. Yeah, that's where I am. Number 6, technique. Well, I'm technically borrowing this. I first heard Letitia mention it. I don't think she mentioned it as like her favorite technique. She just mentioned it as a technique she saw Caroline use, which is the original off the grid Stitch With Me stitcher. She also has, her regular FlossTube videos. And that is the Borgello tuck. And if you watched Michelle and Garrett's joint tag video, they mentioned it as well. I actually used this technique already. So the technique itself is actually not new to me. But the name is, and I really like the name. Just like Michelle and Garrett. Garrett. Did I say Garrett? Gerald. I'm so sorry. I promise I know who you guys are. Michelle and Gerald. When Letitia mentioned it, I got really excited, because I was like, hey, that's just how I stitch. That's how I've always stitched. And I didn't know that was the name of it. So the technique itself is not new, but the name of the technique is. So I don't know if you consider that like cheating, because technically I used the technique already. But yeah. Borgello tuck. Awesome name. Gotta bring that up whenever possible, right? Just like Michelle says. It's a cool name. And I just thought it was really cool that it was a technique, especially because Letitia's like, I never saw anybody do this or stitch that way. And it was really cool that, like, she mentioned something that I do that apparently not everybody does. That's not just the Borgello tuck, but the entire way she stitched was the way I stitch. And that's just how I stitch. So it was really cool. Least favorite technique, again, I can't think of that one. Probably because if it's my least favorite technique, I'm not really using it, so I can't recall it. I mean, unless you want to count using a tacky bob, because I already went through that one. Yeah. Material. Well, favorite would probably have to be this one I'm stitching on right now. Even weave. In general, I like even weave as a whole, but this particular one is just nice as a go-to. I like many forms of even weave. I think my favorite is Lugana. But this is the Charles Crafts 28 count Monaco. It comes in a tube, and you can find it mostly at Michael's. I've seen it at AC Moore. And maybe some Joann's. I don't see it in my particular Joann's, but my Joann's is rather small. And it doesn't carry everything that a larger Joann's would have. I think I've heard people mention it. They've gotten it at Joann's. Pretty sure 123 Stitch sells them, and you can get them on eBay as well as Amazon. But they might not be the best priced, depending on where you live. I like them because they're a great go-to. They're easily accessible. For me anyway. I live very close to Michael's. It's really easy for me to just pop on over even use a coupon and get myself some. I actually decided to go and get some in Black Friday, not at the crazy wee hours of the morning, because a lot of stores have figured out that a lot of people don't really like to do that. Let me see if I can shift this a little bit. I feel like it might be a better angle. Sorry, guys. Let's see if that works any better. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. I don't know, you guys. I mean, the fun part is just stitching together, right? Like, I don't know how many of you are actually intently watching me stitch where my hand is annoying you. So hopefully you're not doing that and you're just stitching along with me. And I stitched that one thread too high. Hold on. What did I do here? I don't even know what I did. I'm trying to fix that angle. Alright, here's what I'm going to do. Just going to go in the right thread and do that. Nobody's going to notice. There we go. Yeah, I just feel bad that my hand is like completely blocking what I'm doing here. I don't know. Again, the angle was better last time and it's just not working this time. Probably because I'm working on the other side of the fabric. Last time I was working on the left side of the fabric and now I'm working on my right side of the fabric. So maybe that affects how it looks. Anyway, enough rambling about that. Most of it is just the stitching together aspect of it. So yeah, this is my favorite material. I really like it. It's a great go-to. I like the feel of it. I like stitching on it, and I like how easy it is for me to get. It makes it super awesome to use. You know what? I'm gonna try stitching this way. And hopefully that'll look a little bit better. Yeah. As far as least favorite material, well, I think you guys can guess because it's been talked a lot about on FlossTube, and it's the MCG Textiles version of this even weave, which is not very even. I mean, to the point where it's noticeable. Ooh, let me mute my computer there. Ooh, this is kind of a short strand. Not using that. That was left over from when I was back stitching earlier. Yeah. So, I used to be able to get this at Hobby Lobby. It was actually my favorite place to go because they had all the colors. This comes in 4 colors. The white, this one, antique white, tea-dyed, which is kind of like a mushroom type color, and glass blue. As I mentioned earlier, I can get this at Michael's and AC Moore, but they only carry the white, the antique white, and the tea-dyed. And it's so annoying that they don't carry the glass blue. I don't know why. Maybe it's just not a very good seller, I guess. Because I know when it was carried at Hobby Lobby, that was often empty. So I think they ordered some, and then it, well, you know, whatever, it eventually got bought by someone. But then after that, they didn't order it for a while. But the other colors were always decently stocked. So, yeah. Anyway. It was so frustrating when I went and I noticed that for the first time, and I'm like, please let this be like they're gonna carry both or something. Nope. All their fabric, except for, thankfully, they still sell a little bit of Swigart, and they used to sell more, so they did get rid of some of it. But they still sell the 25 count Lugana by Swigart, which is great because it's very useful for full coverage projects and other projects. And I think they sell a cut of linen as well. But everything else, like all the other even weave and all the Ada, is now the the MCG Textiles. Now, to be fair, I don't really have a problem. Here, I'm going to try and adjust this again. With the Ada, I feel like for the most part, Ada's Ada. You know, it's kind of hard to screw up. Even weave, on the other hand, you can screw up, and MCG Textiles has. Which is a bummer. I don't know why they have done this and made this decision. I mean, I can guess why. They probably got a better deal with the company. But really, like, they sold this fantastic even weave, and now they're selling this poopy even weave that's not really even, and it's kind of like, you might get a good piece, you might get a terrible piece, and most of the time you get a terrible piece, so it's a bummer, but whatever. So that's my least favorite fabric because it's so inconsistent. It's a little bit flimsy as well, so yeah, just not gonna work. Probably won't buy it again. Maybe the mushroom one. I've had luck with the mushroom one, but I don't know. I don't know if it's worth the risk. Alright, last for this section, pattern release of 2017. I'll tell you right now, I can't think of a least favorite. I don't know. I don't follow pattern releases that much. I only pay attention to when I notice something that I really like. So I don't really have a least favorite to share with you. Let me make sure that actually matches up. That does not look like it matches up. Hold on. Okay. So my favorite, Renaissance Mermaid by Mirabilia. Oh, so pretty. Let me pull that up on my phone because I actually don't own that pattern. So I have to purchase it at one point. I don't know when. I just have so many that it's not worth it. It's just gonna be sitting there. It's not going anywhere. Why are you doing this? It's being annoying. Okay. Anyway, that's what it looks like. No, wait. Wrong one. There we go. That's what it looks like. Oh. Yep. There we go. You get the idea. She's gorgeous. And the face. She's really stepped up her face game. Let's see if it's gonna zoom. Zoom. It's gonna focus. Yep. Let me get a little closer so I don't freak it out completely. Yeah. She's got a nice face. The last few releases have had a pretty decent face. As you know, or well, as you might most likely know, I really enjoy stitching mermaids. They're gorgeous, they're beautiful, I love them, and I really, when I saw that, I'm like, ooh, I have to stitch that. So I'm really excited to do so at some point, and I really enjoyed that release, especially, yes, because it was a mermaid, but it was so nice to see the pretty face, because for a lot of her patterns, and that's been a complaint kind of across the board, is the faces aren't very nice, but she's really stepped up the game. Alright, next section. You know what, I'm going to pause so my video doesn't get chunked funny if it hasn't already done so. Okay. So the next section is how many, and I'm going to do this to the best of my ability because in all honesty, yeah, I don't know if I have everything recorded for this. Alright, whips at the start of the year, I would have to say probably around the same number I have now, which is about, well, that might not be true, probably somewhere in the 40s. I don't know the exact number. How many whips at the end of the year? 55 since then, or maybe 54. Since then I've taken one, finished one, so it's 53 now. Yeah. I know it is more, but I have finished quite a bit of stuff. So I'm okay with that. Like for the amount of stitching that I did, I'm happy with what I finished and what I worked on. Starts during the year. Well, see, the thing is, not all those whips are necessarily the starts. I finished some. I would say, I don't know a precise number, but probably somewhere around 10. Finishes during the year. Let me see if I can think of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe I can look through my Instagram to get a better idea. Six. 7, 8, 9, looks like about 9, maybe 9 or 10. FFOs, oh, I should have looked, let's see, 1, 2, 3, I'm trying to remember out of the ones I saw, 4, I think 4, maybe 5, 4 or 5. UFOs temporary and UFOs permanent. That's 2 different questions, but you know, I'll just answer them together. I guess you could technically say my Lakeside Needlecraft is a temporary UFO. It's one of the things where I actually considered UFOing it, and then I was like, you know what, no, I don't necessarily need to UFO this forever, but I'm not going to work on it right now. That doesn't look right. It's not. I should have done 3 of these. Alright, I thought this would be really easy to stitch, but I guess not. Maybe in the future I'll try stitching something else, maybe, or being a little bit more careful with my stitching. And what I pick, because I thought this would be a little bit easier to pick, and it's actually not that easy. Because I keep messing up and having to count. Alright, sorry about that. So, full coverage pages completed, none. I don't even know if I worked on a full coverage. The most full coverage thing I did was on this Quotes to Live By. The top section has a full coverage portion, but I mean, it's not even a page, so I hope to rectify that this year, because I've had a few full coverage pieces, including quite a few Heaven and Earth designs that really could use some work. Alright, moving on. My first start. I'm almost 100% sure it was this, Quotes to Live By. I started it very early in the year. And I don't recall starting anything before that. I feel like everything else I started was before 2016, and that was just maybe, or 2017, sorry. So end of 2016, and I just happened to be working on it in January 2017, but I hadn't started. I think it was this, because I started it very early on. My last start of 2017 probably that Teaching is a Work of Art, now that I think about it. It was my last start, but I also finished it. So my last start, that covers 2 questions, my last start and my last finish. I started and finished it pretty quickly. Because I was like, yeah, I'm going to get these done to give as gifts, and it didn't happen. But since I've shown that already, I won't show it again. Refer to the earlier question of my favorite FFO. Alright, regrets. Let's try to get this moving because I feel like this is a little slow. Okay, regrets. Purchases. When I ordered my Omnic frame, I ordered the large, all the sizes of the sidebars. I kind of regret ordering the largest size. There is no way I'm going to use that. It's just too big for my arm. I'm small, and I kind of went with the mentality that it wasn't that much more added onto the total price because I'd been saving for that purchase because I didn't want to pay shipping more than once, even though I'm thinking of making another order. But when I do decide to make it, it'll, you know, I'll really have thought about what I want and if I want anything else. I'm like, let me just order them because I might end up wanting them. I don't know what my dogs are doing. And let me just get them. And I really have no use for them. So I guess I would see, that would be my one regret. Just because, I mean, I would have rather bought a different top and bottom bar in extra size. And you just hanging out? You want a rub? She wants a head rub. Okay. Yeah. You gonna go lay down? Or you gonna stay here? Okay, she's just hanging out. Okay. Starting. Do I regret starting anything? No. I started very little, so I'm happy with what I started. Stopping. I don't know. You okay? Like hacking up something. I guess just stitching in general. Like, I should have kept up with it more, even though I kind of went through a rough period at the beginning of the year, and then just general, like, during the summer, which is when I was in my first trimester of my pregnancy, and it was kind of making me sick, but I'm like, maybe if I'd stuck it through and, like, just stitched on something simple, like, I would have gotten some progress and maybe got my mind off it, but some days it was just too difficult to stitch. It was too much. But there's not a particular project that I necessarily regret stopping. Just stitching as a whole. Not participating in? Not really sure. I wish, I mean, it's not something I could help. I was originally going to go to the FlossTube retreat, and I couldn't go because of the pregnancy. I had gone to a previous trip. It wasn't, flying was really, really uncomfortable, and I didn't want to have to go through that again. Driving wasn't really an option. I would have to take so much time off just to get myself over there. So, I mean, it's not like I regret, like, because I was just, like, it's not like I was like, oh, I just won't go. You know, like, I still wish I'd gone. I just had to prioritize a little. Plus, you know, it's still an expense, so it also helped on the expense end. But I mainly did it just because it just would not have been comfortable. And, yeah. Alright, that's it for that. New or new to me? So, the new tool, I was gonna see if I had it handy, but I don't see it. I should have it, because I used it recently. I hate when I do that. I put something down right in front of my face, and I don't see it. I would blame the pregnancy, but I do that, pregnant or not. Huh. That's really strange. I remember using it recently. Maybe it fell or something and I didn't notice. So basically it's the seam ripper, the one that has the little silicone end on it. It's pretty awesome. The seam ripper part is just a seam ripper. That's not why it's my favorite. But it has this like rubber tip, silicone tip at the end. And once you go through your stitches, you just rub it. And, it brings the threads up. So it's really easy to clean up. And you're not like constantly picking fuzz off your project. So it's fantastic. And that was new to me. And I'm really excited because it was fantastic. I'm glad I got that. I wish they had a mini version of it. I think they might. Because sometimes I feel like depending on what you're frogging, unpicking as I prefer to say. I think frogging sounds funny. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being silly about it. I just, you know, 28 count over 1 or smaller stitches or certain flosses. Like sometimes the seam ripper part is a little bit thick. It's hard to get under those stitches. In fact, I have a project that I need to work on that I really should get working on because I want to give it to someone. And I need to unpick some, but it's over 1 on 28 count and I just like haven't gotten around to unpicking it because it's going to be a pain. It was so upsetting, by the way, when I noticed I'd made that mistake because I was like, oh. It was annoying that I'd made it, but just also knowing how hard it would be to unpick. If it was something over 2 on a larger fabric, it would still suck, but it'd be not as much of a pain. Like, it's not just a pain that I messed up, it's going to be a pain to unpick. So that would be cool. If that mini version is as small as I hope it is. Anyway, technique or stitch. I guess the Borgello tuck name. Again, I stitched like that before, but I really enjoyed learning the name of that and how popular it's become, so that's exciting. Designer. Well, I don't know if this counts because I haven't actually stitched it, but I got my first long dog sampler last year. It's the Castles in the Air pattern. So I haven't started it, but I have what I need to start it, and that was new to me for sure. Not something that's even normally my style, so that's new. Fabric. I don't know if I've not tried anything new. That's not true. Well, is it? What is she doing? She's like licking her bed. I don't know what she's doing. I'm trying to think. I don't think this was new to me. I want to say Picture This Plus, but I get the feeling I worked on it before. Like I knew what it was. I just don't think I'd actually used any till 2017, but I could be wrong. But because I'm almost sure that actually using it and putting stitches into it was in 2017, I'm going to say actually using Picture This Plus. It's nice, it's lovely. But, sorry, just want to make sure this isn't like... Alright, hold on. I might have to pause here in a second, but let me finish the question. I'm a little bit bummed that, like, apparently their customer service is kind of getting not so great. Like, people are waiting a long time, or, I know they decided they're not going to do the sale anymore because it's, like, backing them up, and I don't know. Like, that, I thought that was kind of odd. Like, of all the things you want to, like, they said, like, they just had too much something else going on and just something had to go. And it happened to be the sale because they spent so much time getting everything together. Because so many people bought so many pieces. And it's like, well, that's kind of the point. Like, your sale is good, but it's not that good that you're, like, missing out on a lot of money. Like, it's 25% off, I believe, which is decent. I mean, that's why a lot of people jump on it, but you're not, like, it's not like you're selling stuff 60% off. You're not losing a lot of money. So I thought that was an odd choice. You know, like, yeah, I mean, if people are buying a ton of fabric, isn't that what you want? I don't know. So maybe I'll still use them, but maybe through 1, 2, 3 Stitch, or maybe through my LNS. I don't know. But yeah, I love the fabric. It's gorgeous. It's nice to stitch on. And I'd love to use it again as long as it's not going to be an issue getting it. Let's see. Thread. Believe it or not, Karen water lilies. I knew of them. I think I actually had some. But actually stitches and fabric with it last year. Yep. It's very nice. I like it. Might not always be worth it depending on what the project is and how much of the floss is used. But if a decent amount is used and it's going to show, it's nice. It's worth it. I used it on actually on one of my mermaids. Not the one that was furthest along. It just so happened like there was just a big area of it that needed it. And I'm like, instead of skipping, I'm just going to go ahead and use it. Because why not? Why do I need to leave it to the end? Like, I know some people do that. They do all the DMC and then they do the silks and the metallics. And I thought of doing that, but I'm like, you know what? I don't need to do that. It's just thread. I understand why leaving beading to the end is an option and why a lot of people do it. But I don't really think you need to leave your silks and metallics till the end because they're just thread. So, I think at that point I was like, I'm excited to use this. I want to try it. Honestly, had I not just stitched with it and if I left it to the end after finishing all the DMC, I still wouldn't have tried it. Because I wouldn't be near done with the DMC on any of those projects. Alright, vendor or shop? Probably some Etsy stores. Not Etsy as a whole, of course, but some Etsy stores. I found some fun patterns on there. But no particular... I just did an extra stitch. Maybe I need to take a break from this project, you guys. I don't even know. What did I do here? Hold on. I'm gonna have to... Alright, hold on. I'm just gonna leave that for a second. Yeah, some online stores, some Etsy stores, that's about it. Terminology for Jello Tuck. Just the name, not the actual technique. And FlossTube Channels, so many. Michelle, Wendy Stitchy, Ginger Gerald, I was gonna say a couple, but I just realized I started those after December. Trying to think if any of them stick in my mind. I want to say half stitch cross stitch. I know she's been around for a while, but I get the feeling I probably started watching her at the beginning of 2017. Also, Stitching by the Lake. I remember watching at the beginning of 2017 and having to go through all her 2016 videos. Gosh, those are the ones that stick out in my mind right now, but there's probably more. So, I'm going to take a break because I think my dog wants to go out. Yep. She just looked at me like, I know that word. That's what I want. Fix whatever I did there, and then I'll be back with the rest of the questions. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, I did think of one more. Duh. Yanni Stitcher. So Yanni, I felt like I've been watching her forever, but obviously I haven't because she just started making videos in 2017. The reason I remembered is because she does FlossTube videos in both Spanish and English, including some Stitch With Me's. So I think she's kind of motivated me to try and do a Stitch With Me in Spanish. So it'll be a different experience for me because I don't speak Spanish like a lot. I do with my family. I obviously do with my parents. But I mean, most of the people in my life I speak English with, you know, but I am fluent. I can speak it. I don't necessarily always know like phrases that you would use in everyday talk because, you know, I don't live somewhere with, you know, that's Spanish speaking. So it's not something where I'm having conversations with like people not necessarily even my age, just like using like, you know, like phrases that you use in everyday talk. So that'll be an interesting experience. But yeah, anyway, moving on to the rest of the questions, which are not all necessarily stitching related. I've got what did I learn this past year. Oh, got a message. I'll check it in a minute. What did I learn this past year? I don't know. Guess I learned a lot of things. I don't know if necessarily it means about stitching. Maybe this one is about stitching. I guess that SALs are something that interest me, but it's really hard for me to want to keep doing them and keep up with them, because sometimes I will lose interest in the pattern. Sometimes I feel pressured to keep up with it, and then I end up just getting overwhelmed and letting it go. This is one of the only SALs that I did keep up with, and when I stopped it was for various, I guess, legitimate reasons. Other than that, I feel like I just stopped because it's too much. So I don't know. What did I teach someone this year? Stitching related? I don't know. I don't know if I've taught anybody anything stitching related this year. I know that I've taught my husband different stitching techniques. I don't know if they've all necessarily been in 2017. They might have been in 2016. So, don't have much to say for that one. Sorry. Did you become real life friends with any stitchers you only knew with social media previously? Here, hold on. Let me see if I can turn this a little bit more. I don't think so. I would have if I'd been able to go to the FlossTube retreat, but I couldn't. I'm not overly upset about it, but I kind of wish I could have gone. That would have been fun. So maybe later this year, if not in 2019. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Are you happy with what you accomplished in the past year? Pretty much. I mean, I do wish I'd stitched more and not let it go for so long, but I'm still happy with things that I got done, so I'm not like really upset by it or anything. Similarly, what were your goals for 2017? I lost the question. Do they measure up? No. I mean, I had all these goals that I planned at the end of 2016, and then I was just not stitching for a lot of it. So I didn't, goals-wise, I didn't accomplish all the stuff I said I was going to. But overall, I was still okay with what I did do, considering everything that went down last year. Has your stitching style or organization changed during the year? If so, how? If no, are there any changes or improvements you'd like to make? Yes. I organized all my whips into plastic envelopes, and I'm really happy with that outcome. So I showed that in my Year of Whips video, and I'm really happy with it. I think it's really going to help me get everything I want to get done this year. Did you fall victim to FOMO, fear of missing out? Were there any projects that you would pass on starting if you were given the chance to go, you were given the chance to go back in time and do it all over? Because I didn't stitch that much, no. So yeah, I didn't fall to fear of missing out. I guess you could say I bought this chart, quotes to live by, around the time everybody was doing it, but in all honesty, I love it. And I don't consider that fear of missing out. Fear of missing out is like, for me, is more when I'm like, I don't know if that's really my style or that's something I like to do, but everybody's having so much fun doing it. Why don't I just get it? Because clearly it's the thing. And, you know, that's not what this chart was about. I really liked it. Like, the minute I saw it, and the fact that it's quotes, I like that a lot. And I didn't think that it would be a SAL that would uninterest me halfway through or something. I kind of knew that it would be interesting. And at that time, I didn't even plan on doing all the color switching I was going to do. So that's made it even more interesting. I don't know, maybe if I had stuck to the original color palette, then maybe it would have gotten a bit tiring. But I didn't. Hold on. I'm having a hard time threading this needle. It keeps popping out on me. There we go. Yeah, so no real FOMO for me. I usually don't, do things for FOMO. So, that's not something I'm concerned about or concerned with. There we go. Oh, geez, here I am trying to make it better. I think I'm making it worse. There we go. Did you participate in any sales? If so, which one was your favorite? Right here. Quotes to live by. I didn't work on any other sales. Technically, Lakeside Needlecraft was still going on because it started like June or July and it ended. Is that correct? It was something where like, I think it ended in 2017 because it started like halfway through 2016. Or was that 2015 to 2016 at this point? I don't even know. Well, that's the only one that, like, if it was a 20... I don't even remember. I didn't do it. There were a lot of sales last year. Last year was the sal explosion year. Oh my goodness, I feel so bad about this. Ingleside Imaginarium's Dragon Sal, which I love. I love it. I just, because I wasn't stitching, because I started it late, and for many reasons, I just never kept up with it. And it's still sitting there, and it's a pattern I absolutely want to complete, and I have some exciting ideas for some beading that I want to do with it. Why does that look odd? I'm missing a stitch right here. There we go. And I just never finished it. So I did start that sal, not at the time, especially because I don't even think I had my fabric when it started. So yeah, I started late and it never got kept up with, but I'm excited to work on it. What did you learn about yourself through your stitching year? Again, just, I don't know, the whole sal thing, like, it's easy to get excited about a sal and then kind of lose interest. And it's not that I lost interest in like this one or the Ingleside Imaginarium, but it's just like, I can't pressure myself to keep up. Whether it's because I want to plan it out like I did with this one with the colors, or because it's just too much to want to keep up with it, and then there are other stuffs that I want to be stitching on. Okay, sorry, this person's being really insistent. I don't know, like, I like the idea, and it doesn't necessarily mean I don't enjoy the pattern as a whole, but having to complete it on the deadline every month can be a little bit too much, unless the motifs are small enough that it's, like, not a big deal, you know what I mean? Especially because I don't have all the time in the world to devote to stitching. If I did, then maybe that would be different, and maybe that'll change in the future. But as of now, I just have too much going on and too many things I want to stitch, or, I mean, I could say need to on my own terms, because I want to give it as a gift, or I set a deadline for myself or something. But yeah, just having that pressure of having to finish something, especially if it's on the larger side for something that's a stitch along, it's just too much. So yeah, not a fan of like doing it that way. But it doesn't mean I don't like the entire pattern. Like, I love the full Ingleside Imaginarium pattern. I really like the Magical Creatures Calendar by Clouds Factory that I started in 2016 that I really want to finish this year. But even though we did it as a different type of SAL, because, you know, it had been the SAL the year before, you know, I just doing something every month, it doesn't work for me. I have to do it at my own pace. What was my favorite event that I participated in this year? Probably Stitch Mania, because I did it mermaid style. So I didn't start something every day. I didn't even start something every week. A couple of them were already started, but I worked on them. I did one mermaid a week for Mania, and it was awesome. I loved it. Was there any 2017 stitching fads that you didn't jump on the bandwagon, but you're still considering? I really don't think so. Does this count? Do Stitch With Me's count as a fad? I mean, I'm having a lot of fun. I don't know if it's necessarily a fad. But I technically did jump on it, so I don't know if that counts. Yeah, I don't think so. I really don't think so. I don't even know if there's any fads per se that I can't even think of. Alright, for 2018, we're almost done here. My goodness. What project are you most looking forward to starting? I'm not really sure. I haven't actually thought a lot about what I'm starting. I thought more about what I want to get done, because I have a lot. I guess if I think of it right now, and this could possibly change, because in all honesty, I hadn't even thought about it, about what I'm starting. I don't have plans right now to start anything. I have more plans on working on things. Maybe some of my Mill Hill Santas, because I really want to do that entire series, and that's going to take me forever. So I'm excited to start / work on some of those and hopefully get a few done this year. I'll go with that, because I'm excited about doing that. What am I most looking forward to finishing? Oh gosh, there's two. I'm excited to finish this and get it framed and put it on my wall, especially because this is something that I think is going to be a very simple frame, so I think I'm going to do it myself. I think I'm slowly getting better at framing my own things. So yeah. But the other one is hopefully Mermaid of Atlantis. I really want to get that done. I showed that at the very beginning of the tag. Oh my goodness. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. I can't wait. Do you intend to be more determined or laid back in your stitching? Well, I want to be more determined, but I am having a child in 8 weeks. So I might just have to go with laid back. Like, have the plans, but know that it may not happen. I'm just going to go ahead and finish the tag real quick, because we've been going for a while here. What event are you most looking forward to participating in? I'm not really sure, you guys. I have to kind of take, maybe Year of Whips. That's what I would say. I want to get stuff done. Even though I'm taking it with a grain of salt, again, because once baby arrives, I don't really know what it's going to look like. Maybe she'll be sleeping all the time and I'll be able to stitch a ton. You know, a ton in relation to having a newborn. But maybe she'll be really fussy or whatever and I can't stitch at all. So I really don't know what's going to happen. So I don't know if there's a particular number I will get done. But I'm excited to try Year of Whips and try to whip down and do the best I can. Because a lot of it isn't really big stuff. It's stuff that's just been hanging around for a while that I need to get done. My stitchy resolutions for next year. Again, whipping down as much as possible. Any SALs? I don't know. I like the Clouds Factory one. I like, for the first time, the Frosted Pumpkin one. And I think I like the Ingleside Imaginarium. Gargoyles aren't really necessarily my thing, but the first one is pretty cute. I think I'm just going to have to see it. I still have our dragons from last year. And that one I knew I loved. This one I'm not like, oh my god, I love that. But it's cute. So I might eventually get it as a pattern, but I probably won't do it as a sal. But I don't think I'm going to participate in it as a sal. I am doing a stitch along with Adele with our Aphrodite mermaid. That I'm looking forward to. Maybe I'll join like those types of sals. Not like the monthly sals, but just sals with people or sals like on Facebook. Of a specific pattern, but there's not a specific start date or end date or anything like that. And are there any material stitches techniques that you'd like to try this new year? I don't know. Maybe some specialty stitches. I don't have any patterns that really call for it. But maybe I'll start with a smaller one. Maybe like a Northern Expression Needleworks or something. Not a specific specialty stitch, just specialty stitches in general. But yeah, that's about it, guys. So I hope that was entertaining. I know that was a little bit odd because I wasn't very fluid in my talking, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the time. I'm sorry that the angle maybe wasn't the best for the part of the pattern I'm working on now. But hey, live and learn. Still working on it. I'll see you guys later on for another stitch with me. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!